In the shadows of America's most divided hour, young men marched beneath two flags, one nation split by conviction and blood. These are their faces. The soldiers of the Confederacy, captured in fragile photographs more than 160 years ago. For generations, they have existed only in shades of gray, their eyes staring from faded images, their stories nearly forgotten. But now, through the power of color and restoration, we travel back through time to meet them not as distant figures of history, but as living, breathing men. Each portrait reveals not just a soldier, but a soul, frozen between youth and eternity. This is Colorized History, rare Confederate portraits from the Civil War era. Sergeant Joel Thomas Pierce, Wilkinson Rifles, Company F, 3rd Georgia Infantry. Pierce enlisted as a private on the 26th of April 1861 in Irwinton, Georgia, and was later promoted. As with most soldiers, he was absent during the war a few times due to illness, but he served until the end and surrendered at Appomattox. Sergeant Major Judson Thomas Hargroves, 3rd Georgia Infantry. Hargroves enlisted as a private in the Burke Guard, Company A, 3rd Georgia Infantry, eventually being promoted to Sergeant Major. He became a POW on the 2nd of July, 1863 at the Battle of Gettysburg. Held as a POW at Fort Delaware, he contracted smallpox and died on September 29, 1863. 2nd Lieutenant Elias Sanders Dyer, Company C, 16th Georgia Infantry. Dyer, a resident of Hart County, Georgia, was elected 2nd Lieutenant on the 13th of July, 1861. He was captured on the 17th of September, 1862 at the Battle of Sharpsburg, Maryland, but was soon paroled. Dyer died on the 6th of June, 1864 at Camp Windsor Hospital in Richmond, Virginia due to a gunshot wound received at the Battle of the Wilderness on the 12th of May, 1864. Sergeant Isaiah Williams, Dooley Guards, Company G, 65th Georgia Infantry. Williams enlisted as a private on the 4th of March, 1862 in Vienna, Georgia, later being promoted to sergeant. He was immediately listed as sick in quarters, but soon returned to his regiment. He was captured on the 22nd of September, 1864 at the Battle of Fisher's Hill and held as a POW until the end of the war. Private Booker Woodson Hopper and Private Daniel H. Hopper, Tom Cobb Infantry, Company E, 38th Georgia Infantry. The brothers enlisted on the 29th of September, 1861 at Camp Kirkpatrick in Lexington, Oglethorpe County, Georgia. Booker, listed as a 20-year-old farmer in the 1860 census, was absent sick for most of 1863, but eventually returned to his unit. He was surrendered at Appomattox in April 1865. Daniel was killed on August 28, 1862 at the Battle of Second Manassas. Private Jonathan Green Seymour, Company H, 38th Georgia Infantry. Seymour, a 25-year-old farmer, enlisted on the 15th of October 1861 in Elbert County, Georgia. Like most soldiers, he spent some time being absent sick. Otherwise, he was present for duty. Seymour surrendered at Appomattox in April 1865. Private Dennis Smith, Company F, 47th Georgia Infantry. Smith enlisted on the 4th of March, 1862 in Holmesville, Appling County, Georgia. He was mortally wounded at the Battle of Honey Hill, South Carolina on the 30th of November, 1864, later dying as a result of his wounds. Captain William Hennegar Brotherton, ACS, 39th Georgia Infantry. Brotherton enlisted as a 2nd lieutenant in Company C on February 28, 1862, and later became captain and acting chief of subsistence for the regiment. He became a POW when Vicksburg, Mississippi capitulated to federal forces in July 1863, but was later paroled. Brotherton was discharged under Special Order No. 71 in 1864. He survived the war, died in 1908, and is buried in Atlanta, Georgia. Private Thomas Morton Brown, Gibson's Company, Griffin's Georgia Light Artillery Battery. Morton enlisted on 7th of May 1862 in Griffin, Georgia. He was killed on the 19th of September 1863 at the Battle of Chickamauga, Georgia. Bobby McCoy Collection, the most beautiful Southern belle I ever saw. Georgia photographer. Private Robert R. Bazemore, Screven Guards, Company D, 47th Georgia Infantry. Bazemore, sometimes spelled Bazemore, enlisted on the 4th of March 1862 in Sylvania, Screven County, Georgia. It appears that except for a few instances of illness, he was present for duty. He surrendered in May 1865 in Augusta, Georgia. Private Ewell F. Bennett, Company C, 18th Georgia Infantry. Bennett enlisted on the 3rd of March 1862 in Jackson County, Georgia. Bennett's military files include only information on his enlistment and one receipt for clothing. Sergeant John Simeon Moon, Company H, 38th Georgia Infantry. Moon enlisted as a private on the 1st of March 1862 in Savannah, Georgia, later becoming a sergeant. His records seem to indicate he was present the entire war, having never been absent. Moon died on the 19th of February 1911 and is buried in Madison County, Georgia. Second Sergeant William Absalom Booth, Company H, 38th Georgia Infantry. Booth enlisted on the 15th of October 1861 in Elbert County, Georgia to serve in the regimental band as bass drummer. He was later transferred to Company H and made this way through the ranks to sergeant. Booth was wounded on 13th of December 1862 during the Battle of Fredericksburg, Virginia. He recovered, continued to serve, and was captured in 1865, ending the war for him. Sergeant Samuel Morgan Wilkins, Company C, 9th Georgia Infantry. Wilkins enlisted in Monroe, Walton County, Georgia on 22nd February 1862 as a private, later becoming a sergeant. Like most soldiers, he had a few instances of hospitalization due to illness during the war. He suffered a gunshot wound to the hip and side on the 30th of September 1864 at Fort Harrison. Wilkins surrendered at Appomattox in April 1865. Members of the 7th Georgia Infantry Battalion, 1st of December 1861. The officer on the far left is identified as Lieutenant William J. Matthews. These volunteers from Irwin County, Georgia, called themselves the Irwin Cowboys, and some wore brass ICB insignia on their kepis. Captain Horatio Goss McMullen, Company C, 16th Georgia Infantry. McMullen, who enlisted on 13 July 1861, was killed at the Battle of the Wilderness on 6 May 1864. Color Sergeant Felix Houston King Sr., Wright, 8th Georgia Infantry. King enlisted in Company K on the 24th of July 1861 in Maxey's, Georgia, according to his record. He was wounded while carrying the regimental colors at the Battle of Sharpsburg on the 17th of September 1862, but recovered, returned to his unit, and was promoted to the rank of Color Sergeant. King was wounded again while carrying the flag on July 2, 1863 in fighting near the wheat field during the Battle of Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. He was absent for several months recovering from his wound. When he returned, he was reduced in ranks for unknown reasons. His last record for October 1864 shows him absent on sick furlough. King survived the war, died in 1903, and is buried in Rome, Georgia. Private Christopher Martin Garrison, Company A, 24th Georgia Infantry. Garrison's records are limited. He enlisted in Banks County, Georgia on 24th of August 1861, and he died on 12th of April 1863, but it appears the cause of his death is unknown. Private James Q. Wills, Company H, 17th Georgia Infantry. Wills enlisted on the 20th of August 1861, but his service was short. He died in the Georgia Hospital in Richmond, Virginia on the 17th of November 1861. As the colors fade and the frames grow still, we're reminded that history is not only written in books, it's etched in the faces of those who lived it. Thank you for traveling through history with us. Until next time, keep the past alive in color.